Welcoming you to our sunrise flow, and we won't need anything in particular, but if you do want to have a block or a cushion around, if we get to our half pigeon pose today, that would be our support if we require some. So it might be nice to have something around. I will give you options though if that's not your shape or form. We'll begin lying down on the backs. So why not make our way down there now? Getting comfortable is the main goal for this morning. So as you're lying down, you can have your bolster with you. You can have cushions here. Even a blanket is still okay to have. We might open the arms out, shuffle the shoulders down towards the ground into a supported position. We might have the feet on the floor and the knees popping in together, or we might have the legs out long. So whichever is your preference is the one that you're going with. If you want to close your eyes, feel welcome to do so. Otherwise, please steady your gaze instead. So where the gaze is wandering, there's a likelihood that the mind is neither. And sometimes when we close our eyes, we forget about that gaze point, because we can have a drishti with eyes open and with the eyes closed. And my preferred drishti with the eyes closed is the third eye point, where I roll my eyes gently up there, allowing me to hopefully keep the focus a little bit better. But other than that, just lying here for a moment and allowing yourself to feel everything that's there, including all the little niggles and discomforts that we might have woken up with or that present themselves in this moment. Noticing that there is a breath that is moving without our doing, and just listening to the breath for a moment. Do you feel like you prefer to control the breath? There's no harm in that, but if you like, you can leave it gently flowing. Exploring, for some for the first time, for others once more, the idea of satya, second yama, the truthfulness. I invite you into this exploration of truthfulness throughout the practice. We can already put little lies upon ourselves, and with that potentially even cause harm. Such as if we're not listening to a niggle and still pushing through the asana or the posture. And the same with harmful thoughts that arise. As you begin now to deepen your breath, you might choose a full yogi breath from belly to ribs to collarbones. Same for the out breath, belly, ribs to collarbones. Allowing the breath now to be deeper. If the extended body doesn't suit, you could already step your feet to the ground, but maybe you would also like to add the Ujjayi technique, the gentle constriction in the back of the throat, creating the oceanic sound that accompanies your breath. Allowing yourself to find balance, evenness between in and out breath. And while you keep the breath flowing, even, strong and long, you might step your feet down onto the mat quite casually, comfortably. You might move a little to adjust the position of your back if required. Keeping the arms a little bit open as we allow one in-breath where we let the knees just naturally fall towards the right-hand side. We will hold that for the length of an in and an out breath. For then another inhalation. And when you're exhaling, draw on your core strength to pull the knees back up. And inhale to let them casually roll over to the left. And again, we're holding here for in, out breath and another inhalation. Before using the out breath to pull the knees back up into center. Placing our fingertips loosely behind the head if that works. Alternatively, you can turn the palms of the hands to touch the ground by your sides. Extending the right leg up towards the ceiling and allowing a bit of movement through the ankle joint, circling, pointing, flexing, whatever feels right. If you're circling, also changing the direction. And then holding the foot in a flexion. And while you're breathing out, just slowly lowering that leg down towards the floor without touching. Doesn't have to be this deep. On the inhale, lifting the leg again. And on the exhale, lower it. If you find you've got enough stability, you can allow the left leg to be out long at the same time as we inhale to lift up. On the exhale to lower down. We'll go for another 2. Before we bend the knee, stepping the foot onto the ground and then lifting the left leg up towards the ceiling. Do the same here, move through your ankle joint and through your foot, whether that's circular or in a different way. And if you're circling, changing direction. We'll hold here as well, flexing again through the ankles. The sole of the foot points upwards, on and out, breath lower the straight leg down towards the floor. On the inhale, lift it up. Movement could be a lot smaller than mine that I'm demonstrating. If you like, the right leg can be out long instead. Notice that that is a little bit stronger, as in holding yourself, supporting the body, using the core. Trying not to touch the floor with the leg. And just one more now. And when you're lifting the leg back up, stepping the foot again to the ground, let the other foot join in, bringing now quite firmly your knees and your feet to touch. If possible, both hands behind the head. Keep them glued together. Now we're creating a movement for the next twist as we allow the legs to roll from side to side, but not to detach from each other. So keep them squeezed together as you're moving side to side, finding a little wake up for our lower back now. Once you are completed with even sides, center the knees, lift the feet off the floor and extend both legs up towards the ceiling. Again, bring a flexion in so that the soles of the feet are pointing upwards. This is fairly strong, so while you're exhaling, we'll lower both legs. And they could come just down towards the ground, or you can make the movement as small as my achy body allows me this morning. So choosing truthfulness towards yourself, as in how far can you move, what is actually nourishing you, rather than where does your ego want you to go. Applying another 2 of the movements now. Before we will bend our knees again. So I'd ask you to bend the knees, keep the legs glued together, point your toes up towards the ceiling and allow about 90-degree angle between the knees, and we'll bring the legs from side to side again, keeping the 90-degree angle of the knees. These knees, when they're glued together, are very unlikely to touch the floor, so don't feel or even think about being limited and wanting to go more. This is just perfectly fine as it is. When you complete it and you've got even sides, give your knees a good squeeze in towards the chest. Noticing if you're feeling again like rocking a bit, because that could be a gentle stimulation of your whole back. And if your socks are still on your feet, this is also a very comfortable position to take them off. You can now choose to roll onto your side or rock a few times forward and back to find your way into a seated shape. Now, once we're on our bottoms, it's not very far until we're on our knees. So let us move up onto the knees and stretch back into a child's pose. The arms potentially extended out long at the front. Leaving the elbows away from the ground, you can have your knees together or wide, that is your choice. As we rise up onto the fingertips to lengthen the spine, maybe look a little bit forward here as well. As we take our next inhale, lifting the right hand off the floor and extending the right arm backwards. So we're getting into a twist here of the upper back. With the next out breath, landing the fingertips back down, lengthening again through the back, encouraging hips towards the heels. And with the next inhalation, now lifting the left arm back and extending out into the left hand fingertips, maybe following with the gaze. And as your next exhale, touch the fingertips again to the ground. We will spread our fingers out onto the mat now. And with the next inhalation, we will rise up onto all fours. With the out breath, then rounding the back into a cat. We'll just do 3 rounds here on the inhale, lifting tail and gaze. On the exhale, rounding into the cat. Inhale, lift. Exhale to round. Inhale to lift and exhale to round, and this time you might tuck your toes under, even lift the knees off the floor and begin to walk out your legs. We will take a walk backwards now with the hands towards the feet. So we are at the back end of the mat. We'll slowly curl our body up on an out breath, just to come up into standing. In breath, shoulders lifting to the ears, and out breath, we will shrug them down. We'll turn ourselves sideways so that ideally the right side of the body is facing the long end of the mat. The feet could be at roughly about hip distance apart. And as we take an inhale, we're lifting the right arm up over the head. And with the out breath, then bending away from the mat to the left. Allowing ourselves some length as we might push the hip in the direction of the mat. And then we will soften the knees, rolling ourselves forward. And we'll take a breath in to lift both of our arms. And then finding balance as we lift the right knee. I know I'm asking a lot. Step the foot out towards the side. Find a strong person stance as you bend into your knees and into your elbows. Sinking that little bit deeper in where we hold our spine upright. A gentle support of the lower abdomen. As we inhale, straighten the legs now, reaching the arms out towards the sides. And then turning out through the right foot. A little bit through the left heel towards the side where we started. And then bring the hands upon the thigh of the right leg. And slide your hands slowly down the leg. Maybe only to that halfway point. You might feel that your legs aren't quite in the comfortable position. Please feel free to step in and out a little. And then touching the palms of the hands together on the inside of your right leg. We're going to a movement that leads in and out of Trikonasana. So while you're inhaling, let the left hand slide up your right arm, extending the arm to the ceiling. And then rolling back down, moving each joint and through the back as you're looking down, palms are touching again. Let's do that a few times. On the inhale, slide your left hand up. And on the exhale, fold from fingers to wrists, through elbow and shoulder as you're looking down again. Repeat in your own time, 3 more, just using your length of breath. Taking your time to explore. And my mastery of counting is a bit off, so once you're finished, finding your stance again. Palms touching as you're looking down, deliberately lengthening through the spine. Release the hands to the shin, and you might step your left foot to hip distance from here. As you've got your length on the next out breath, let the hands slide down towards the ground. You can use blocks or keep the hands on the shin, on the legs, or you could touch your fingertips to the floor for a pyramid stance. Notice how this feels in your right leg. If you're feeling challenged this morning, go for a bend on the inhale, bending the right knee over ankle, and on the exhale, straightening the leg again, nose towards the knee. If you prefer the movement, keep going. If you prefer the steadiness, just holding the pyramid. Just 2 more breaths on this side. Then as you bend the knee again, step the foot next to the other. Half lift as you inhale, forward bend as you exhale. Now wait for another out breath and use that to curl yourself up slowly into standing. Lift the shoulders on the inhale, shrugging them back and down on the exhale. And we will turn ourselves back to the side, this time with the left side of the body facing the long side of the mat. On the inhale, lifting your left arm out and up over the head. And on the out breath, just bending over to the right, away from your mat. And the hip might push across towards the mat. Hold here for a while, experiencing length over the left side of the body. As you rise back to center, inhale, lifting both arms up. And then also lifting the left knee up as we find a play with a bit of balance. Stepping the left foot out to the side, strong person again as you bend the knees and the elbows, allowing the shoulders to rest. Sinking maybe that little bit deeper into our stance, support with the core muscles. And as we're inhaling, straightening the legs and reaching the arms out long. We'll now turn our left toes out towards the short end of the mat and the right heel to the other end of the mat. Bringing the hands forward onto the thigh as we inhale. And on the exhale, let the hands just slide down. If you notice your stance is too wide, too anything, change that. Come about halfway down and lengthen through your back. And then touch the palms of the hands together on the inside of the leg. Repeat our movement as we inhale. Right hand brushes up the left arm across the chest and extends to the ceiling. And on the out breath, we're folding the fingers, the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder, and we're touching the hands back together. So on the inhale, opening as you brush along your arm and chest. On the exhale, curling in, releasing them back to the prayer. We'll go for 3 more rounds. And you will breathe and move in alignment with the breath. And when we completed our last round here in the movement, we'll pause, bringing the hands back onto the shin, preferably stepping the back foot out to hip distance to align the hips. And with an out breath, then letting the hands sink down the leg, lowering the nose towards the knee, and whether you're holding onto the leg or the floor, or a prop, up to you. If you want to be still here, be still. Otherwise, inhale, bend your front knee a little, and exhale, straighten it again. Inhale for a little bend. Exhale to straighten it again. As you might continue your hold or your movement. We'll complete this shape as well by stepping the right foot next to the left. Take an inhale for a half lift. Breathe out for a full bend and wait again for an out breath just to curl yourself up slowly into standing, where we take an inhale now to lift the arms. And as we're breathing out, bending both knees and letting the arms open out towards the sides as if there were wings. We're preparing for eagle pose. To do so, lift your right knee up and cross the leg over the bent left leg. Let the right arm cross underneath the left and either wind your arms up or embrace your shoulders. Your big toe can be on the ground or hovering, hugged in by the side of the leg. Finding your stance, your drishti, your gaze point again. If your hands are touching, one eye either side of them. For the next inhalation, lift your right knee up. And for the exhalation, transition through a warrior 3. Starting to move out through the heel of the foot. Then point the toes, land the foot down, and also bring your knee down. You could use an unwind of the arms to support you. And if your arms are round again, lifting the elbows up, finding our first subtle back bend here. While we're inhaling, let's lift both arms. And while you're exhaling, circle your left arm into your lower back and reach up with the right, maybe leaning into half camel shape. Releasing now both hands down onto the floor, either side of the foot. Stepping our left knee back into an all-four stance. While we come back into cat and cow movement, inhale, lifting tail and gaze. Exhale, rounding into the back. Go for 2 more, just doing that. Lifting tail and gaze on the in-breath and rounding the back on the out-breath. Afterwards, neutral spine, head lightly lifted, firm stance on hands, shins and tops of feet. I'm asking you now to either stay right here if you want to move from all fours, or tuck the toes under and do the whole movements from a downward facing dog. So that's up to you. Movement we'll do together. So while we're inhaling, we're extending the right leg. Then we'll bend the knee and we're opening the knee out to the side. So you're now either on your knee or in a downward dog, 3-legged with the knee open. We're starting to circle the knee in the air. And then we will change the direction. We'll hold the knee open, stability through both arms, flexion in the right foot, and extending on the inhale, the leg backwards with the hip open. On the out breath, then draw this right knee up towards your chest, and then slide it behind the right wrist, bringing your right foot a little bit over to the left and sliding the left leg back for a half pigeon. Now here's the option of putting a block or a cushion underneath the buttocks if you find this is a challenging shape for you. If your knees don't like this shape at all, roll onto your back, right knee in direction of the right shoulder, left foot across, right foot across to the left. If you're here with me, open your heart and lift your gaze. Allow your hips to lower. And as you're breathing out, leaning right forward. Whether you stay on your hands, lower to your forearms, or come into full Ekapada Raja Kapadanasana, is up to you. Notice where the hip is going once you've lowered yourself, if you're on the front of the body. Just acknowledging that you might be in one or the other place that could feel a little bit interesting, such as some find it comfortable to sink down with the buttocks to the floor. Others are hanging over to the left. See if you can center yourself before you emerge for a little while into stillness. But there's absolutely nothing but the observation of thoughts. Noticing what they are about when they occur. Noticing if your thoughts are kind or harmful. Not doing anything about them, but deciding to let them be. We'll begin to change our shape now, as we might step up onto the hands first. And then we will sit down to the right side of the buttocks. You can support yourself with your arms as we bring our left foot forward. You can place your left foot right down in front of the shin, and that is absolutely sufficient as we find groundedness through the sit bones. A block underneath might help if this is uncomfortable in general. If you want to go deeper, take the left foot to the outside of the leg. We'll give our bent knee a hug and just lift through the spine. Take then your left hand and swing that behind your back. Right hand is on the knee. And when you're exhaling, go with inner strength into the twist, not really using the hand here yet at all. If you find the hand is good, keep it there. You might otherwise increase by hugging in with the elbow grease. I won't go any further for myself. I quite enjoy the stimulation across the tummy when hugging the knee in, but if any of you would like to deepen the twist or even come into a bind, please do so. While you're here, you might as well drop your left shoulder, the left ear towards the left shoulder. Bringing in a bit of length into the neck. And then on your next inhale, turn the head towards the front. Unwind your legs as you might bring them back together. Bring your hands down onto the ground, rather towards the front end of the mat, and step your feet back down so you can come into a half lift on the inhale. And breathe out for a forward bend. Wait for your next exhalation, rolling the body up into standing. On the inhale, lifting the arms up. And on your out breath, opening the arms out wide like wings. Bring a bend into both of your knees and lift your left knee up this time, crossing it over the bent right leg. You can touch your big toe to the floor, hug the legs in, while your left arm now goes underneath the right, either to hug the shoulders or to bring the hands back to touch. Find your balance in Garudasana, legs squeezing in together, elbows a little bit lifted. Gaze is very steady. Right there at eye height in front, whatever you can see. Steady your gaze on that. With the next inhale now, lifting your left knee. And we'll transition once more like into a warrior three, keeping our eagle arms that we might have chosen. Now point out through the left foot, landing the foot down, landing the knee down, and beginning to lift the elbows. If you supported yourself with your hands, just joining in when you're ready. On the next inhalation, reach both arms up. And on the out breath, circle your right arm back and place that into the hand, into the lower back. Starting to lift through the heart space as we again approach a back bend. Releasing now both hands down either side of the front foot, stepping that foot back as we inhale, lifting tail and gaze. Exhaling into the cat. 2 more, breath in and out. Once completed, bring spine back into neutral, find your solid stance. Your choice to increase the intensity by tucking toes under, lifting knees off the floor, and instead of practicing from all fours, doing so from a downward facing dog. On the next inhale, bring the left leg back and extend it. Bend the knee and now open your knee out towards the side. Keep your solid stance across both hands and arms. Starting to circle the knee with that, creating mobility in the hip joint. Changing direction. Then as we pause on the next out by extending the leg back as you flex through the foot, hip is open. Point the foot and then draw your knee in towards the chest. Landing your left knee behind your left wrist and crossing the left foot a bit to the right hand side, sliding the right leg back. So same here, if this is trouble for your knee, please roll onto your back and mimic the posture upside down. Otherwise, come onto your fingertips. Start to lift through the heart, the gaze, and sink in through the hips. When you're next breathing out, approaching a deeper form, as you might land further down on your hands, on your forearms, or even on your forehead. Use your prop if you find this shape difficult, and then just breathe. Again, there's nothing here to do but acknowledge the way that the mind works. There's stillness, there's room for our thoughts. If you're very experienced in mindfulness, there might be less, but they will still come. And some days the mind is going crazy anyway. Allowing yourself to feel balanced across the pelvis as you surrender to the shape. Enjoying a moment of presence with your thoughts. To release us from there, do so very slowly. Same way we approached this shape, as you might come to step back up onto your hands or fingers, and then roll over to the left side of the buttocks, swinging your right leg across, and either you place the right foot in front of the shin as we did before. You can prop yourself up on a block or cushion as well, or you can step the foot all the way across, just making sure you're not sitting on the other one. Let's take a hold here of the knee and just spend a breath lengthening through the spine on the inhale. As we do so, we then swing the right hand fingertips behind us for a support. Keep the left hand on your right knee and exhale to twist from your center. If that feels good, you can keep drawing the knee in. You could also increase by wrapping your elbow around the knee. And the same as on the other side, while I will not deepen any further and enjoy the stimulation of the abdomen, you might choose to deepen the twist and come even into a bind. Steady gaze or eyes closed with the steady gaze. Allow yourself to experience that movement through the spine. Tilt your right ear back to the right shoulder. And with the next inhale, then turning the head gently forward. We'll unravel the shape by bringing the legs back over towards the side. Now, if you prefer an easy pose for a short breathing practice, you could do that. Or you could sit upon your heels if you prefer. Letting your hands rest into your lap. Moving the shoulders back into their position and getting a sense of lengthening through the spine. We won't stay here forever, but if possible, you can close the eyes. If not, steady the gaze in front of you. We will take a full deep yogi breath in. Ujjayi is welcome. We'll top up the breath. And then we breathe out very slowly, starting from the abdomen through the ribs towards the collarbones as the breath releases. We'll inhale again from belly to ribs to collarbones. When we think the breath is full, sip up another breath of air and then breathe out again from the belly to the ribs to the collarbones. Do that in your own time, your lengths of breath. So each time you're breathing in fully, you're topping up, and then you have a very long, slow out breath. Just continuing. Have one more after your current one and stay resting at the end of them. Now disturb yourself as little as possible when you complete it in lying down on the floor. Imagine yourself in a short shavasana. As you let your body come into its favorite position of resting. The body again motionless, but this time, unlike the half pigeon, there's no extension in the body, no strain. The body is actually starting to soften without any holding on, without any stretching, just being. What's the relationship that we're having with ourselves and with the world around us? Are we honest with the world and with ourselves? It's impossible to be honest with others and the world around us if we're not with ourselves. It's practice of yoga can take you into the awareness, and help us identify our thoughts. Patanjali, in one of the sutras, says something like, our life experiences become the results of this honesty and truth. And with that, then, they're no longer based on fear or ignorance. You might choose to practice this thought and honesty awareness for yourself today. And if you want to spend more time with these ideas, you can stay resting in Shavasana. Otherwise, begin to move the body a little. Give yourself a stretch even, and return to a seat. When you're seated, touching the hands together, Anjali Mudra in front of the heart space. A light bow to the heart of the head. And if you like to set the honesty intention for the day, now is a good time to, as we connect to our true inner essence, extending to each other. Namaste.